Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president and the urban translator for United in Peace, Inc. We got a very interesting show this evening. We're going to be talking about FEMA coming to the aid of the flood victims. We're going to talk about the Chicago connection of a young sister that ended up getting indicted with Trump and 18 other people in Georgia. We're going to talk about the new police superintendent. And most importantly, we're going to talk about the importance of us paying attention to the fact that a young African-American man, a great father, has been endorsed by the Cook County Democratic Party. This was the Sladen season. And he's running for the Cook County State's Attorney's Office since Kim Foxx not gonna run. This show wouldn't be possible without the information, and I wanna say the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from the chairman of the United in Peace, Inc. She helped put everything together. You know, they say, if you want to get something done, find a woman to help you as a man to get it done. And that's none other than my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. So without further ado, to God be the glory. Let's get on with the story.
In water that had nowhere to go.
I got ready to go out the door. My granddaughter yelled out, "Granny, it's a flood." And I look back, I'm looking at the sewer water coming up through our basement rapidly.
Westside residents have spent the last 6 weeks siphoning out water and drying what they can of their soaking wet belongings. But floods have left their homes in expensive disrepair. Even Congressman Danny Davis is dealing with the aftermath himself.
Some people had their hot water tanks repaired, but then they went back out. So others are like, we're going back and forth with this, and they don't have the means to, to supply themselves with a new one. In many cases, they're costing an upwards of $2,000 with installation.
If they came to my house, they would have found water in my basement this morning.
Now those repairs could be covered and financed by federal government relief money after President Biden officially declared the flood zone a federal disaster.
Assistance can include grants for temporary housing and home repairs, low-cost loans to cover uninsured property losses, and other programs to help individuals and business owners.
This financial relief comes after Westside residents packed meeting spaces begging for any kind of government aid.
They spoke up, they spoke out, they had town hall meetings, they emailed the congressman, they emailed all our offices, they made phone calls, and they asked for help.
Now lawmakers at the highest level have heard those cries, and federal emergency money could be on its way to flood victims in a matter of weeks. Now, once people submit that application for federal aid relief, they will send out a federal inspector to sort of assess the property damage. And then they say they will take a look at all of that damage, and money could be in people's bank accounts in a matter of weeks, perhaps a month. We've put information on our website, abc7chicago.com, on how you can fill out that application.
Watching that, I want to share this with my viewing audience. It takes we the people to come together. You got to understand the process. The mayor has to declare a particular area, and he can't do it until he do a proper assessment by having FEMA to come in. He can't go no further without dealing with his state representatives for that area, the state senator for that area, in order for them to get the information to the governor. They can't get it to the president without the help of the federal delegation. So Congressman Danny Davis met with the mayor, state reps, state senators. Then he met with Senator Dick Durbin and Senator Duckworth. And on the Tuesday, he was in Washington, D.C., he talked with the president. I'm saying all of them things because Congressman Danny Davis had the seniority to get things done. Everybody talking about they want to run against him because they say he's getting too old. But in this political game in Washington, D.C., in order to get the props, I want you to hear me, it's based on seniority. The president has endorsed Danny Davis. Everybody else that's running to be or want to be the congressman don't have it where they can call the president like Danny Davis can. I'm saying that not just because I'm with Danny Davis, been with him since 1995. But you got to know this game and how it's played in order to get things done. I want to say to God be the glory for allowing the president to let the governor know, here's the money, to let the mayor know and the state representative know about that flooding, and they're gonna help take care of things, especially for those that's on the west side. That's how it works, people. Don't talk about it, let's be about it. We can't get things done if we're busy arguing with one another instead of coming together. You can do one thing, I can do another. Let's get to the next story.
Now to Decision 2024, and you can add one more Democratic candidate to the Cook County State's Attorney's race. Clayton Harris made it official today and comes with the support of Cook County Board President and Party Leader Tony Preckwinkle. So where does he stand on outgoing State's Attorney Kim Foxx? Our political reporter Marianne Ahern joining us now. She spoke to Harris today. Marianne.
Allison, Clayton Harris was once an assistant state's attorney under Richard Devine. This campaign will likely be a referendum whether to stay the course or reroute the direction after Kim Foxx.
I'm going to be me, so I'm going to do things differently, but we're not going to move backwards. We're going to continue moving forward.
Clayton Harris wants to be the next Cook County State's Attorney. He supports the recent reforms, like getting rid of cash bail.
It allows us to be safe. The Supreme Court ruled that way. We had input from law enforcement in all different communities to ensure that it was right and that it would keep us safe.
Harris is joining former appellate judge Eileen O'Neill Burke as declared candidates. Others, like Richard Boykin, Joe Ferguson, Dan Kirk, and Risa Lanier, are also considering a run. Harris already has the support of Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle.
Having her backing allows a lot of folks to see who I am. As you can see with the endorsements that I have already coming in, it's a wide variety of people from different walks of life, from different philosophies or whatnot.
Harris has been a lobbyist for the rideshare company Lyft, and critics see that as out of sync with the Democratic Party. He disagrees.
There was a void of transportation options for certain communities, and when you had gig workers able to step in and help, it provided two things. One, it provided folks an opportunity to work and an opportunity to work in neighborhoods to provide transportation where it was historically void of transportation.
He was also the former chief of staff to Governor Rod Blagojevich, but leaves Blagojevich off his campaign announcement.
I've been a manager where I've managed a staff of over 5,000 people, and we've done big projects before, and I've managed in crisis situations or whatnot. So I'm ready to be in there day one.
As for that time spent with Blagojevich, Harris does tell us he was the chief of staff for the former governor after he had been arrested, Blagojevich that is, and he explains that someone had to step up and help run the state as Blagojevich was preoccupied, according to him. Allison and Stefan.
Thanks so much, Marianne.
Today, Mayor Brandon Johnson is set to officially introduce Chicago Police Chief Larry Snelling as his pick for the next superintendent of the Chicago Police Department. Our NBC5's Sandra Torres joins us live now near City Hall with more on this announcement. And Sandra, what are these next steps here?
Hey there, Michelle. So this was an extensive selection process, so there's a lot more to come here. It's not all said and done yet, but we can tell you that a newly created commission basically came up with 3 finalists behind this process, and then out of the top 3, Chief Snelling was one of them.
He is the right person to turn our department around and turn our city around.
And that's Anthony Driver, the president of the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, who helped secure Snelling as Mayor Johnson's pick. Snelling was born and raised in Englewood, graduated from Englewood High School and DePaul University. He spent nearly 3 decades with the Chicago Police Department, acting as district commander in Englewood before he was promoted to chief of counterterrorism. Retired chief of detectives Eugene Roy believes that Snelling's background and city roots makes him a great choice to tackle some of the city's largest issues.
We all think of cops as the hardened, tough guy. To say he's an empathetic human being and a great role model is an understatement.
In a statement, Chief Snelling said in part, "It is a tremendous honor to answer the call to serve my hometown and the people of Chicago as superintendent of the Chicago Police Department. It is also a tremendous responsibility and one that I do not take lightly." And Snelling will formally be introduced here at City Hall during a press conference at 11:30 this morning. There's going to be a public hearing as well, so the public will get a chance to ask questions as well about Snelling, and we do not know when that hearing will take place, but we will sure keep you posted.
You know, that was a wise choice that the mayor made by picking the superintendent of the police, Chicago Police Department, and making where, I'm going to call him Superintendent Larry Snelling. I know him. And for my viewing and listening audience, I want to say, for the first time, I agree with the Fraternal Order Police when he says that this is the right man to be the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department. The community loves him and respects him. He's a cop's cop. The officers respect him. He believes in community safety because he understands community law, which is everyone coming together, letting it be known that senseless community law is zero tolerance for senseless violence, inclusive of domestic violence. Senseless shootings and killings, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance for the abuse and the rape of women and children. Zero tolerance for the abuse and the robbery of elders and seniors. And the community is going to come together. And he know about that terrorism piece. He know the people in the community. He's from Englewood. I know him when we was putting together the gang summits and how everyone came together, working together to bring senseless violence down. Hooray, hooray, Mayor. Hooray, hooray to the new committee of individuals who were elected by the people in the city of Chicago to help find the individual to become the next superintendent. And they was able to make it where Superintendent Snelling was one of the 3 finalists for the mayor to make the choice that everyone agreed. Now, I ain't gonna agree with Fraternal Police president a whole lot. But on this one, you ain't got like me, ain't got like you. But we both agree this the best man for the city of Chicago. You know, we were talking about the slating and how you saw where Mr. Clayton is the endorsed candidate by the Cook County Democratic Party slated him. It was some other candidates that's running in the 2024 election. This Cook County Democratic Party slate for 2024 primary, which is March 19th, 2024. For the U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris was slated. For state's attorney, the young man that you just saw before in the story before about the superintendent, Clayton Harris. Great father, I met his kids. I know him because everybody say, Gator, we see you everywhere, but sometimes I gotta let them know. Because of what I do as an urban translator, I'm not locked into one community or one city. Because I go all over the Cook County. You know, I'm a political consultant as well. The other candidates for the clerk of the circuit court is Mariana Sprapalopius. She used to be over the Metropolitan Water Committee. She's running for the clerk of the circuit court. For the Midwest Water Reclamation District, for a 6-year term is Madam President Carrie Steele, Marcelino Garcia, and Daniel, we call him Pogo. For the 2-year is Precious Brady Davis. For the Supreme Court, is Joy Cunningham. She was endorsed by the Cook County Democratic Party. Some people had problem with that, but we're gonna see how it's gonna work. Some people felt like Jesse Reyes should have got endorsed, you know, but hey, we'll see what's happening, when it's gonna happen. But this is slate for the Cook County Democratic Party. For the appellate court is Mary L. Mikva, Cynthia Y. Cobbs, Raymond Ocasio, and Carl A. Walker. Every one of them are already appellate court judges. They just have to run for their seat. All of them but Raymond Ocasio. They have a thing for the appellate court what they call first, second, third, and fourth alternates, which means if a seat should become available, you got the first alternate. Her name is Celia Gomroff. I think that's how you pronounce the name. But she's the first alderman. What that means, if there's an opening, say in March, of the appellate court seat, okay, she might get picked for that seat, okay? The number 2 is Judge Judith Rice. The third alternate is William Sullivan and Leonard Murray. I got another story that I want you to see, and it's very important. We're talking about the election. We're talking about the indictment of Trump and the other 18 people, especially this young African-American woman from Chicago, who was a publicist for Kanye West at one time and R. Kelly.
A Chicago-based publicist is one of those charged in the indictment. Trevian Cootie is seen here being interviewed by ABC7 over the weekend in Chicago about a topic unrelated to the indictment. Prosecutors say she traveled from Chicago to Atlanta in an attempt to pressure an election worker to report election fraud claims and testimony. Cootie is a former publicist for artists R. Kelly and Kanye West. She, along with former President Trump and the others, have nearly 2 weeks to surrender. The Fulton County District Attorney plans to try all 19 defendants together.
They got indicted in a RICO indictment when they came at Trump in Georgia. That RICO indictment includes a whole lot of people. That indictment, those type of indictments been used against mob figures. That rapper that's in Atlanta that got the case where Trump tried to say that the DA had a relationship with the guy, and they couldn't find out that was a lie. That was a drug and murder conspiracy case. The case where the rich people was making nefarious moves or illegal moves to make sure that their children get benefits to get into special schools. That was a RICO indictment. They all got locked up, went to penitentiary. She's doing it to Trump now because of what he did after the elections, where he tried to make the governor and the Secretary of State in Georgia to try to find some votes to overturn the election in Georgia and try to make it where Trump won instead of Biden. That was illegal. You're gonna hear about it. You know what I mean? Read about it so everybody can be civically known. The RICO Act is known to be used in gang investigations, drug investigations, the mob investigation. And just like that young lady got caught up in it because she felt like Trump was the right guy. I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna try to convince those people in Georgia to go on and say that y'all committed a fraud, and knew that it was a lie, and knew that it was a crime, because some people feel the thing that Trump and them did was tantamount to a coup. And they coming at them. They got over 30 unindicted co-conspirators, which I'm hearing some of the Republican elected officials who we saw during the January 6th thing, some of them they're still talking now like as if Trump ain't did nothing wrong. They might end up getting indicted because that RICO is far-reaching. And the one thing about that RICO case, racketeering case, in the state of Georgia, it's more expensive than the regular federal RICO. So be careful who you associate yourself with. Pay attention, because they'll come and grab you and get you caught up in something that you didn't realize that you were doing something wrong. So with that, I want to say, get registered to vote and vote March 19th, 2024, for whomever your candidate is. Vote, don't choke. And vote early. That's what I normally do. So without further ado, to God be the glory. That's my story.